future of knowledge management, trends and predictions. Of course, when you're talking about the future, nobody's an expert. Nobody really knows. We'll have some interaction, and I'm interested in hearing your ideas as well. My name is still Ike Hecht. I'm still the CEO of Wikitech, as far as I know. Now, our world is becoming much more digital, much more information-rich, and therefore the ways we organize, we access, we interact with knowledge, they're evolving dramatically and rapidly. So we're going to talk about how knowledge management is going to evolve, how it's going to make the knowledge management systems smarter, more connected, more intuitive. And this is important because you want to know what the next decade is going to have, or at least might have in store for knowledge platforms, and how you and your organization are going to be able to stay ahead of the curve. So let's get started. We're going to talk about, you guessed it, AI, semantics, mobile, AR for smarter knowledge. We'll see more about that soon. First, the basics. What is knowledge management? It's all about organizing and sharing info and collaborative platforms such as MediaWiki. Today's trends, AI to AR, they're going to evolve everything about how we do knowledge. Let's talk about first AI. And this is a trend, but a trend that probably all of us are familiar with. But don't think of AI just as a chatbot. There are a lot of things that it can do for us, such as curation. It can classify, tag content automatically for us, summarize long articles that we're not interested in reading, and it can be an assistant like a chatbot, give us answers that we're very familiar with, and prediction, suggest topics that I might be interested in. Right? Tell me, if I'm reading up on this, what else do I want to know? Semantic technologies, so we'll talk about something like a graph rag that combines two different concepts. Anybody want to guess which two? Graphs and rags? Wow, you guys, what am I doing here? Okay, so what is a graph and what is a rag? So graph here is a knowledge graph, and a knowledge graph, you could think of it like a fancy database, and a rag, you can think of it like a sort of fancy AI, and when you combine the two, you get something that's better than both of them independently. The way I describe it, you could think of it as like the difference between like plain text and a database. They're both very useful, they both have what they're good with. An AI would be more like plain text, right? It just scans like a ton of data, and then you talk to it, and it'll give you a ton of text. Probably too much. Whereas if it's a graph rag, so it's more like there's a database behind the AI. You can think of it like that. So it's like a detective who doesn't just like skim the surface, but digs deep into the connections between things. So, for example, let's say Rich would ask Yaron, which talks today are going to cover AI? So Yaron could just answer all of them, but he wants to give a little bit more accurate answer, so he looks at his graph rag, and his graph rag looks at all the topics that are going to be presented, looks at the people who are going to be presented, who are going to present them, and looks at my talk, and it's about trends, and it's like, okay, this is going to be about AI for sure, because I know that he's talking about trends, and I know he's in knowledge management. He's definitely going to cover AI. Then we have data fabrics. These are magical. So you can think of data fabrics, instead of pushing all of your data into one place, you leave your data where it is. It could be everywhere. And then there's a fabric layer that just it's like a magic carpet. Just covers the whole thing, and it brings in all of your data. It's like a giant invisible web. So for our conference, it was fed with all of the data, the schedules, the attendee lists, the catering orders, the budgets. It all goes into one system that's all connected. So when something changes, it finds data everywhere. It's like magic. So let's say Elon calls Aaron, and he says, Aaron, I heard you guys have this thing called a MediaWiki Users and Development Workshop. We can't have workshops. It's got to be the MediaWiki Users and Development Convention, or MUDCon for short. So, yikes. So how is Aaron supposed to remember everybody or everywhere, that this thing is posted, or whoever sent there's multiple people on the project, So you have the data fabric magically will find everywhere that it has to be changed, and there's a ton of places, and it'll give you a precise recipe of what to do. So Aaron can go to the conference page, he changes it there, he sends a message to the Digital Roadside Management Department at NASA to update the text on that nice little sign in front, tells the security office, generate new badges for everybody, and posts a signal telling everybody that they need to immediately go to the security office and get new badges. And a really fully mature data fabric system would actually do all of that for you. So look forward to that. Then we have AI ontologies. So those are automatically mapping domain-specific terms and relationships, and they build digital knowledge maps. So what does that mean? So as me, I'm Ike, the sponsorship chair. So I use an AI ontology to get funding, sponsors for the conference. And the way I do that, I create a digital knowledge map of potential sponsors, and I figure out their industry, their size, their sponsorship history, their interests. I define the ontology structure. I feed it data from public databases, CRM systems, and web research. And now I use AI to semi-automatically map all of those relationships. For example, I might link AI interests to tech firms, and they'd be interested in our conference. I can link aerospace to large enterprises, a little bit of manual refinement. And now I can say to my AI, find me technology companies with an AI focus, or find large aerospace firms. It'll give me targeted results. And now I can draft an individual sponsor email. Instead of one big sponsor email, begging for money, I could explain, or AI can, exactly what the topics will be and how that particular sponsor, based on what their interests are, would be interested in sponsoring for the conference. Then we have semantic chatbots. They're like chatbots, but semantic. So they act like a friendly guide. So what they'll do is they'll decipher vague questions by understanding not just the keywords that you give it, but also the context. So figure out what you're not telling it, essentially, and that way it'll give you more precise answers. So, for example, Danielle says, how do I get to dinner, to her AI chatbot. Now, if it was ChatGPT, it would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? Where are you going and where are you coming from? However, this semantic chatbot already knows everything about the conference, so it will know, okay, I know based on the time, I know based on the day that dinner is at Berries on Main. I know based on the schedule, and you're probably at the conference. And basically, it will integrate with the mapping API and give you directions based on what you didn't ask it. So here's some more stuff. PWAs. So PWAs are like apps, but you don't have to go through the App Store. So you can go to a website and basically hit almost like an install icon, and then you get an app almost like you installed it on an app store. It allows a website to function like an app, which is very cool. Voice queries, we all know. It'll give us real-time answers for, you talk to the bot, you'll say, what's the next talk about? And it will say collaborative knowledge creation, and you say, when does it start? And the bot will tell you it's at 1:30 p.m. And you can do it with your voice, so in case you have two hands and both hands are full, then you'll still be able to interact with it. Context aware. So you step into the assembly room for a morning session and you get a notification, and it basically says, I know where you are, I know what time it is, and I want you to know the current title of the current talk is Quality Work Instructions at NASA Using MediaWiki. I know you should know that it's given by Rich Evans, and here's all the information you could possibly want to know about this guy. and it will probably pull up the link to the slides. It will know based on where you are, your location, what information you're interested in right now. Or, for example, you're going to the Space Environments Complex. You don't have to tell the AI you're going to do that. It already knows, based on the time, this is probably what you want to do. So it just gives you the directions, and it'll pull up all kinds of fun facts about the Space Environments Complex. Multimodal interactions we're very familiar with, so you might have a phone that does it. You can speak to it, you can tap, you can swipe with your finger. That's all going to be, all those gestures are going to become, I think, ubiquitous. And here, I think, is what's next. I think if you're exhausted by all the talk about AI, the end is in sight, because I think in about 3 or 4 years, you'll be exhausted by AR. All right? So, good news and bad news. Augmented reality, and this is immersive knowledge. So, augmented reality is like, think about it like this guy. An AR overlay, it'll probably be much more sleek like that. It'd probably be more like glasses or something else, which we'll talk about. Context-specific data, but it's projected onto the real-world objects, and that transforms any space into an information-rich setting. That might sound a little bit overwhelming. And then you have 3D visualization, which can take it further, and it'll allow you to interact with knowledge structures, like graphs, maps, models in a spatial, intuitive manner as if it's there. So it's not about like viewing all those things, it's about actually experiencing it and immersing in those environments. It also can foster real-time collaboration, so people can work together in virtual workspace together with these models. I'll give you a very intense example from next year's conference. It's a warm May morning in 2026, and the MediaWiki users and developers meeting is kicking off at a state-of-the-art conference center. It's called Solventus in Boca Raton, Florida, Solventus. You see, Ike's AI-assisted sponsorship email campaign went so well that sponsors have been begging to throw money at us. Elon even tweeted about it, so half the tech world is coming, and the other half is at a protest conference across the street. This year, the 3-day event promises to push boundaries with, you guessed it, AR, transforming how attendees like Daniel, who's a seasoned wiki developer, engage with the program. So day one, Daniel steps into the venue, greeted by a bustling lobby and a very cool pair of sleek AR glasses. So, AR overlays project relevant data onto the physical space, boosting Daniel's situational awareness. As he glances around, floating directional arrows guide him to the check-in desk. Digital signs hover over key areas, labeling the main auditorium, workshop labs, and networking lounge. A real-time schedule overlay pops up showing opening keynote, the next decade of MediaWiki, starting in 15 minutes in the auditorium, and that will be delivered by Elon Musk. The morning session, Daniel settles into the keynote titled The Next Decade of MediaWiki, Open Knowledge in the AR Age, delivered by President Trump. 3D visuals. So the president unveils a 3D AR model of MediaWiki's ecosystem, projected into the room in an interactive, spatially explorable entity. Next is a buffet lunch, where AR overlays tag dishes with info like gluten-free quinoa salad, complete with nutrition facts and ingredients. Daniel eats quickly and heads to a workshop, co-designing MediaWiki tools with AR. In a sunlit lab, attendees cluster around a virtual workspace powered by AR. A shared 3D model of a new citation tool floats above the table. Daniel adds a reference formatter module by dragging a digital block into place. Another attendee annotates it with a note, add multi-language support. Changes sync in real time, visible to all through their AR glasses. Day 2, mastering MediaWiki API integrations. And it's a hand-on tutorial that uses guided AR experiences to walk Daniel through complex tasks. As Daniel opens his laptop, AR overlays project a virtual API dashboard in front of him. Step-by-step instructions appear, enter your API key here with an arrow pointing to the right field. And when Daniel hesitates on a code snippet, a 3D animation demonstrates the syntax followed by a prompt. Try it now. All right, we covered all that. And now this is your turn. So AR vision, so try to predict the future yourself. This is very simple. Find an object, any everyday object near you, and imagine the overlay. Visualize how that object can trigger an AR overlay. So for example, if it was a mug, maybe if you looked at it, it would offer directions to the nearest coffee station, or if it was a pen, maybe the history of pens from Wikipedia. But you come up with your own examples, and you can scan that QR code, and you can contribute it, and then we'll see your answer. So if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to Mentimeter, and you'll be able to put your idea in there. Oops. Supposed to scan that. All right, so now as you post your ideas, it will show up there. So again, your assignment is find any object that could trigger contextual AR knowledge, come up with something normal or innovative, simple. It's not working? Try those maybe. You can also put the code in manually if you go to menti.com. Someone's face. So that's scary, but it almost certainly would happen. So someone's face, I assume what that means is we've recognized this person. Here's his email address, age, things that you could actually find on the web right now. Okay, car keys. I guess that could pull up the manual for whichever car it corresponds to. A thermal vacuum chamber. Definitely, I mean, it'll recognize which thermal vacuum chamber it is and give you some technical details. Power supply for a laptop. Yeah, a clock and whether it is accurate. Okay, yes, somebody will probably give you, design an app that will alert you to every clock that's not accurate. There's one over there that's not, by the way. An emergency medical bracelet. That would be very cool and very useful. Okay, there's one that's hidden. Cookie. Handwritten notes, reviews on sponsor banners. Okay, I don't know if we want that one, but maybe. Okay, let's get out of here while we still can. All right. Next. Predictions for 2030 through 2035. So this is 5 years from now. For those keeping score, autonomous AI knowledge management. So this is when the AI is doing the knowledge management. The AI will be watching all of our presentations to figure out how to do that. And instead of helping people find data, the AI will be a super smart librarian, notices when information is repeated, outdated, contradictory, or messy, and then fixes it for you automatically. That would save a lot of time and make information much easier to find and be able to trust it eventually. Then we have, eventually, this is 5 years from now. Imagine where AI was 5 years ago and think it's going to be, right? That gap, exponentially better.
But who's controlling what you see?
We'll find out.
You don't see anything, there are no humans left.
All right. Universal semantics. It's like a global translator that helps computers and people understand each other perfectly, no matter what language or topic they're dealing with. So it could be you're going on a tour of a thermodynamic something or other. What was it called? And you may not understand it either because you speak Spanish or because you speak English and you still don't understand it. The universal semantics will help you out. It breaks down barriers, letting information flow freely across cultures and systems. Then immersive mobile. Okay, we're talking about brain-computer interfaces. Sounds scary. It's going to happen. You may not want it to happen, but it will happen to you too. And that's basically devices that let you interact with information just by thinking. So forget the keyboard, mouse, voice, all that's going away. And your brain will talk directly to the computer and listen to the computer back. You'll become one with the computer. It's going to happen. The last one is robotics. And you'll notice that it's the same icon as the autonomous AI, because here we've basically reversed the autonomous AI. The robots are going to be the ones doing the tasks, and you're going to be the ones supplying the knowledge to help the robots do the tasks, of course with the help of AI. But again, this is going to kind of reverse that whole equation that we're starting with in 2030, and maybe by 2035 will be reversed a little bit. So we all have these great ideas. The future, nobody really knows what's coming. I'm sure you have other ideas. There's going to be transformative technologies coming. These are things we're all going to be participating in. I think it'll be very exciting. You can explore, share your ideas, and we've got another live poll here. So your thoughts. So you can scan that QR code wherever is most convenient. Which trend excites you the most? You can choose between things I spoke about or anything else, and we'll see the results. The question is, what do you see as the biggest topic 5 years from now? So I gave you a 5-year timeline. Be creative. Is it working? Oh wait, it's not working. A second. There we go.
Is that the QR code on the left?
It should work. Let me, yep. There you go.
Menti.com.
If you go to, yeah, there's instructions there. If you go to menti.com and use the code. QR is giving you trouble. Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Listen, if the biggest topic in the world is Ike being wrong 5 years from now, I'll be very happy. Better QR code scanners. I think QR code scanners might be gone. Brain-computer connection for sure. I mean, it's already done, right?
Working internet.
You're very optimistic. Digital humanism, that would be cool. Medical advancements. Oh yes, watch this space. Give you guys another 10 seconds or so. Ubiquitous, yes. Cooking. What is that? Monitoring. OpenCSP. Somebody's remotely.
Oh, this is the live stream.
Uh-huh.
We're ready to shut it all down.
Yeah, I was worried about that, yes. Okay, let's go back while we still can. All right. Okay. Future of knowledge management, and next slide. Okay, this one's very simple. It's a future vision sketch wall. So one word for 2035, a single word that represents knowledge in the future. Be nice. And then submit it and share it yet one more. And we will pull that up again. Okay. Dystopian. Thank you, Mark. Wikilove will be so ubiquitous, it will be one word. Okay. I would say I understand about half of these, but all right. Okay, we are over time, so I don't think we have time for questions. All right, thank you very much.